Housebreaking is an issue that I get a lot of calls about. It's a very frustrating situation to have a dog relieving itself in your home. The best way to deal with this is the first day you come home with your dog, you will restrict them from having the opportunity to wander freely in the house and thereby giving them an opportunity to make the mistake in the first place. You can't have this idea, well, it's my house, it's their house, I want to have a loving, free relationship. They are an animal and they need to be trained. With a puppy, you would want to use a cage, a training kennel, where you can restrict them to that cage anytime you are not able to be watching them. And that's key. If you want to spend time with them, what you do is you take them outside, you stand around, you go to the area where you want them to go to the bathroom and relieve themselves, give them enough time. When they relieve themselves, you can then bring them in the house, sit down, play with them, spend some time with them.
Good boy, bring it here. Good boy.
When you're done with that, put them back in their cage so that they are not wandering off after you've had a little play session with them and going and soiling. Anytime a dog wakes up from a sleep, has something to eat or drink, or has a play, they're going to typically need to relieve themselves. So that's why a lot of times as well, I'd like to encourage people to play with their dog outside if at all possible. Because in the middle of playing, if you're playing retrieve with a little puppy, they can just simply squat, and before you realize what's going on, they're peeing on the floor. So it's best to do that kind of stuff outside. You may be in a place that's so snowy and cold you can't do that right now. So you definitely want to get them outside, go to the bathroom before you bring them in to let them play. When it comes to sleeping, always sleeping in their training kennel initially. If you've got a dog that is older and has an established issue already with soiling in your house, marking territory within your house, that's a dominant thing as well, then also get your training cage, your training kennel, put the dog in there when you're not able to watch them. Because dogs will sometimes hold it in and they will not do anything when you're standing there, but the second you turn your back, off they go and they're going to make a mess. So it may be a little annoying to have to do this at this stage of the relationship with your dog, to put them in a kennel. It may be distressing to you. It may be that the dog is going to complain about this a bit. They're going to whine. They're not going to necessarily like being caged. But you have to go through the process to break the routine. Typically what's going to happen is 10 to 14 days is what it's going to take to break the pattern within their mind that they can relieve themselves in your house. If you're consistent with it, it takes a little bit of effort on this part, but you stay consistent with the program, always taking them outside, bringing them back in. If they don't go to the bathroom when you go outside, and you've stood there and you've encouraged them, and they're not relieving themselves outside, they may be waiting to come back in the house and to relieve themselves just to prove a point. Because dogs are about dominance, they're about control. So if they don't go to the bathroom outside, bring them back in, put them back in their training kennel, and leave them there for another hour. And they might be looking at you kind of surprised, thinking, well, gee, I wasn't expecting to be caged again. And then an hour later, you take them back outside immediately. Put them on the leash, on the training collar, take them back outside. You wait around, go to the bathroom, go pee. If they don't do it, you bring them back in, you stick them back in the training kennel again. And at some point, they're going to have to go to the bathroom, and they're going to do it where you want it done. If you go outside and you take them out and they don't go to the bathroom, you bring them in and you think, well, gee, they didn't need to go. And that's when you turn around and they're going to soil right there. Because they're trying to prove to you that they can do what they want, and they're going to go to the bathroom where they've always done it, which is in your house. So, like I said, be patient with it. In a couple of weeks, the brain is going to reprogram that where they go to the bathroom is always outside. And this is also how you get your dog to go to the bathroom in one particular area, is taking them out on the line, on your training collar and your training leash, take them out to that area and stand around. If this is what you want, is one particular area where they go, that you've got to take them over there for the couple of weeks until they get used to that's where everything is done. If you get up and take your dog out of the training kennel and you just put them out in the backyard, if you're not there watching, you won't necessarily know if your dog has gone to the bathroom. So then if you bring them back in the house and you just assume they've gone to the bathroom, you may find that you've got problems again. The idea with the cage is that you've got one that's just big enough for the dog to stand up, turn around, and lie down in. If you've got a cage that's oversized, you get a little puppy in a huge cage because you're thinking, well, it's going to grow into a big dog, so you get the big cage. what'll happen is that the dog will lay in its little area and sleep there, and then it'll go off and soil in the other area of the cage, and you don't want that happening. Typically, the idea behind the cage is that they will not soil in their own sleeping bedding area. If you have a cage that is too large for your dog, what you can do is get a cardboard box and put it in the back of the cage. Get a box that's big enough the dog can't climb up on top of it. Tape it up nicely so the dog's not crawling inside of it. And you can maybe even lay a blanket over top of that so it goes down into the dog's area so he's not chewing at the box. But this will help to shorten up your cage, and as the dog grows, you can get a smaller box to increase the size of the area for the dog. So when I go outside with my dogs and I'm training them to go to the bathroom on command, I'm just using two words. I say go pee for go pee, and I say go to the bathroom when I want them to go poo. So my tone of voice would be as the dog is peeing, I'm just like, go pee, go pee, go pee, go pee. And I'm just repeating that over and over and over as the dog is doing that. Then when they're done, I'll pet them up and tell them they're a good dog. Never will I ever give a treat that the dog has gone to the bathroom by giving them a treat. Simply, all they need is praise and affection to realize that they've pleased you. If they're going to the bathroom, same thing. Like if they're having a poo, I say, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. You can make up any word you want. You'll actually see your dog later on start to go through the motions of needing to go to the bathroom as soon as they start to hear those words, because they're so associated with that sound, it gets everything working. So if you're stopping by the side of the road, you've been on a car travel for a while, and you know your dog needs to go to the bathroom, but they haven't had a chance yet, you can immediately get them started on that process just by jumping out of the car and giving them their key word. You may have a dog who's very stubborn about this whole issue. If they've had an established pattern of going to the bathroom in your house, you may take them outside, they don't relieve themselves, you bring them back in, you put them in their cage. You do this a few times, you're still not seeing your dog going to the bathroom outside. It's a battle of wills, and you've got to win it. And once you win, you'll start to see how fast everything else falls into place. So you bring your dog in, you put him back in the cage, you take him back outside. When he finally goes to the bathroom outside, you can bring him in, spend some time in the house with him. But you've got to be there watching the dog. Be prepared to sit and spend that one-on-one time with the dog. If you don't follow the program and you have your dog loose in the house and you turn your back, or you go off to answer the phone or go downstairs to put laundry in or run outside to check the mail, it's that one time that the dog sees an advantage. They break the system, they go to the bathroom, and you're back to square one. You're going to start over again. It's 2 weeks of not breaking the program without any mistakes, and your dog should be over the hump. You'll start to notice that your dog will find ways to let you know if they have to go to the bathroom. They may have been resisting your attempts to have them go to the bathroom outside, not realizing that they're going to come back in the house and get stuck in the cage again. So what you may find is they start to whimper, whine, let out a little bark. And these are great cues, so you can respond to that. You take the dog immediately outside, and then you praise them up again. Then you come in and you spend some time with them. So they realize if they let you know they need to go to the bathroom, they get taken out, they get to go to the bathroom, and then they get to come in and spend some good time with you. Once you take them outside, if they go to the bathroom, you don't want to stick them back in the cage. You want to make some time with the dog so they realize that there's a positive end to this whole process. You may then want to move to having a bed where the dog is taught to lie on. You may have a few beds throughout the house so that you're still in the early stages of giving the dog more freedom. Now he's not caged, but he's being taught to stay on a bed. So if he goes into a room where you're at, he's on his little bed. You're going to go to the other room, you call the dog, he follows you through the house on his bed and staying there. And so in the house, he's with you, he's still controlled, but there's a little more freedom involved. And you're also teaching the dog at this stage of the game to restrain itself from wandering off, because you're saying, well, here's your space. It's another border perimeter type of training lesson where you can't just get up and walk off this mat or this bed and go and wander throughout the house yet. That may be another couple of weeks down the road before you allow them that kind of freedom. So if you've used this bed method, your dog will also be used to giving you these little messages when it needs to go out. When you see that your dog, even with this sort of less restricted method now staying on the bed, is able to give you the proper signals to let you know that it has to go out, and it's working well, then you can start to give the dog a bit more freedom to roam around the house. And your dog will either come to find you, whimper, act kind of strange, dance in circles, do whatever is comfortable for it. It will find a way to communicate to you that it needs to go out. And you can then ask it when it does that. You can say, do you need to go out? Do you need to go to the bathroom? And the dog will react to that with energy, and then you take them out. So it can be a little bit frustrating of a process, especially if you're not consistent with it long enough, because as soon as you have a setback and the dog relieves himself, you have to start at square one again. There has to be enough time for that dog's brain to reprogram to the new way of doing things. So a little challenging at times, but it's not that difficult if you follow the program. As far as housebreaking goes, if your dog has actually made an error in the house and soiled somewhere, a lot of people have come under this idea that you cannot correct the dog unless you see them in the act. Now that's absolutely not true, and you've heard it first here from me. That a dog has a memory, and if they go to the bathroom somewhere in your house, even if it's 3 hours, 4 hours, a day later, if you find it, you can correct them. So you're going to have your training collar on your dog and your training line in the house. You're going to take your pup up to that soiled place, whether it's, whatever they've done there, and you're going to show it to them, and you're going to begin to verbally scold them as you hold them by the back of the neck. You're going to take them up there and push their nose up to it. You're not going to push their nose in it, but just up to it so that they can smell it, what it is that they're being corrected for. And they're going to realize that this is not something you're happy with. If you ignore it and just clean it up, you have not shown the dog that you are wise to what they're doing, because dogs know where they go to the bathroom. They don't forget. That's why they tend to go to the bathroom in the same spot all the time. They go, hey, here's a great place behind the big old gray chair. I think I'll, relieve myself here. And they'll continue to go back to that spot because it was convenient and their smell is there. So you must take that dog up and show them what they've done wrong, and you can snap them on the training collar a few times as you're telling them that you're unhappy. Like, no, you don't do this. No, you bad dog. And then you can take them outside. You can also put them outside and ignore them for a while. Just keep them at emotional arm's distance there, so that they're feeling sorry about what they've done. You don't have to discipline them and then tell them they're a good dog right away afterwards. Not in all situations. Like if it's something like soiling in your house, let them feel a little sad about that for a while. But it is important to correct the dog. If you don't, you're going to find they're going to keep going back there because they're thinking, well, that's nice that they cleaned up my mess area for me, so I can go back there and try that again. And, always, again, remember that the dog should not be unsupervised in the first place, so that they're roaming around and finding places to go to the bathroom. Until you can trust your dog, they should not be roaming freely in the house. But if you do find it, you've got to correct them.